Hey geeks, it's Andrea. Today is day 1 of our 2017 Horror Month. If you don't know what that is, it is 31 horror-themed countdowns in just 31 days. This is our second year doing this. Year 1, we started with some haunted places, and today we're going to continue that tradition. Alright geeks, let's go. The Bruce Mansion, Brown City, Michigan, America. Let's kick things off with a house that I have no interest in living in. It was built in 1876 by a man by the name of John Bruce. Not long after the house was completed, it started collecting horrible events. In 1881, a fire broke out and destroyed most of the city, but spared the Bruce Mansion. In the early 1900s, it was sold to a woman named Cynthia Smith, who died shortly after. The house was then turned into a location to host funerals. In the 1920s, a man named John Walker moved in with his wife. She left him 5 years later. He was found dead later that year. Although there was no cause of death listed on his death certificate, many believe he was found hanging. If you live near Brown City, you might just be able to visit. They do occasionally allow small groups of people into the house just for the purpose of recording EVPs and looking for evidence of spirits. Some visitors have claimed to have seen ghostly humans, heard voices, and even heard growling coming from the basement. Cuban Club, Tampa, Florida, America. The Cuban Club was built in 1917 as a recreational spot for Cuban immigrants. It's fitting that it's on this year's Horror Month, given that it was built 100 years ago this year. Anyway, many people believe that the place is so haunted because people loved it so much that they just decided to spend their eternity there. As with any location, not all stories are happy ones though. There are 3 highly cited deaths on the premises. After arguing, one member shot another to death. An actor committed suicide on the theater stage, and probably most tragically, an 8-year-old boy drowned in the pool. As well as seeing and hearing these 3, people have claimed to hear other ghostly apparitions. They even have their own lady in a white dress roaming the halls. She is more unique than most lady in white ghosts though, because she wears red high heels. Some people claim to hear a mysterious woman crying, and they also have a piano that will occasionally play itself. The Cuban Club officially offers a ghost tour now, so you can experience all of these hauntings for yourself, if you're feeling adventurous. Lincoln Castle, Lincoln, England. By far the oldest place on this list. The Lincoln Castle was built in 1068. There's so much that makes up this castle, you'll feel like your head is spinning if I try to go into too many details. The castle does have prison areas and had over 900 years worth of prisoners. Sadly, many were hanged here and their bodies were buried in a few different areas of the premises. When people enter the castle, many people feel uneasy. While you're taking one of their tours, you might just feel tingles down your spine, or the air go cold momentarily. People have claimed to see several women walking around, including a lady in black who walks up and down the stairs to the gallows. One woman is even carrying a baby. People have seen lights, shadow people, and had doors slam for seemingly no reason. Some have heard footsteps, keys jingling, and eerie moans, growls, and even screams. Moundsville Penitentiary, Moundsville, West Virginia, America. One of the most violent prisons just makes sense to end up being one of the most haunted places. Moundsville Penitentiary is located in Moundsville, West Virginia, and was built in 1866. It housed inmates from 1876 until 1995. Guards reported seeing things that weren't there in the 1930s. They were sure they were seeing prisoners walking on the grounds in areas that prisoners weren't allowed, but whenever they would set off the alarms, the searches would never come up with anything. All inmates were inside and accounted for. Naturally, rumors began to spread about the haunted prison. Moundsville Pen is notorious for the Sugar Shack. You may have heard this in many haunted places TV shows. The Sugar Shack is a room in the basement of the prison, created as a place for the inmates to hang out in whenever there was bad weather and they couldn't hang out in the prison yards during the day. When people visit there today, many people hear arguing, whispers, and other strange noises. There's also an odd chill in the air, and cold spots come and go. Living conditions for the prisoners were not great. They were cramped and miserable, which naturally led to many fights and riots throughout the prison. Prisoners were still executed by electric chair here, and there were many that died by the hands of other prisoners. Although he is still alive, you may have heard of a notorious prisoner. Charles Manson did a stay here for a while. Moon River Brewery, Savannah, Georgia, America. Savannah, Georgia is known for being a very haunted city in America. You know that a place gives people the creeps if it has been referred to as the most haunted building in Savannah. The Moon River Brewery was built in 1821 as a hotel initially, but it was used several times throughout the 1800s as a hospital whenever the city had outbreaks of things like yellow fever. These walls have seen a lot of deaths in their day, so it makes sense that it would have some memories. It doesn't matter where in the building you go, there's probably a story of someone being visited there. But it does have some spots that are particularly active. Many investigators, ghost hunters, and curious people have recorded EVPs in the building. If you plan on recording audio there, you can pretty much expect to find a little something extra, especially if you work up the nerve to ask to visit the basement. They'll likely show you a special part of the basement. People visiting have claimed to feel being touched and sometimes even scratched. You might see a shadow person or hear mysterious knocks. Be careful though. A couple locals have actually stated that they were followed home by a spirit and had activity in their own home after visiting the basement. This isn't likely to happen to you though, but don't say I didn't warn you. Just don't overstay your welcome in the basement. Alright geeks, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. After today, we still have 30 days to this horror month, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single day. Be sure to like and comment before leaving also. And head on over to the Teespring link in the comments if you want to pick up your limited time Horror Month t-shirt. You can also buy the official Horror Month 2017 song on Bandcamp. All links are in the description below. Alright geeks, I will see you tomorrow.